Hello all, it's almost 1 p.m. We will let some people hop on here and start the webinar at 1:02. Hey everyone, just checking in again, waiting for some more people to join, and we will start at 1:02. Thank you. All right, everyone, it is 1:02, so we will begin the webinar. We have a couple of housekeeping items that we want to start with. Everyone will be muted during this presentation. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to use the chat feature to submit them, and we'll review all the questions at the end. We'll be doing the raffle drawing after today's session, and we'll reach out to the winner directly. Thank you for joining us today. We are very excited to talk to you about the Wilmac and NICE inContact partnership, and even more importantly, how to answer your digital wake-up call and redefine customer interactions. My name is Stephen McDonald, and I'm the Vice President of Sales at the Wilmac Company. Joining me today is Chris Bauserman, Vice President, Segment and Product Marketing for NICE inContact. Before we dive into the meat of this presentation, I'd like to give you a quick background on the Wilmac Company and our long partnership with NICE. Wilmac has a long history in voice management, specifically in voice recording. We've been in the voice recording world since 1993 and have always considered the people within our organization voice specialists. We've been a NICE business partner since the late 1990s. We are headquartered in Rochester, New York, and that is where we got our start selling and supporting NICE recorders. At first, we focused on the public safety industry. Due to the specialized technology and mission-critical environments we supported, we began to grow a large services team. We soon grew into Toronto and New York City. We began moving into the financial services space, where compliance recording became a big need. In the early 2000s, we moved into the contact center industry, and our partnership with NICE continued to grow. Today, we have over 600 customers spread throughout the world. Our focus is still on North America, but with our Follow the Sun knock, we've been able to take on global clients as well. We've expanded our partnership with NICE and have developed a great relationship with the NICE inContact division. Wilmac's true value lies within its people. We have one of the deepest benches of NICE certified engineers in North America. We have the experience and professionalism of a large organization, but our size allows us to be nimble and flexible with our customers. Today, we support environments that have as little as 5 agents up to customers who have 40,000 agents. NICE itself has great trust in Wilmac. They utilize Wilmac for many implementations and services for their own direct customers. Our excitement about NICE inContact has led us to build out a dedicated sales team and a dedicated services team within our organization. An aspect that's special about our very strong long-term business partnership with NICE is Wilmac's unique position as both a business partner for NICE on-prem solutions and NICE inContact cloud solutions. This gives us a distinct consultative advantage for our customers as they navigate their journey to the cloud. Our reputation throughout the industry is that of a complete and highly competent solution provider. We have fully trained and certified internal resources to help you get through any hurdles. We have the expertise within our organization and the relationships at both NICE and inContact to assist in the smooth transition. We understand that preparing for and moving to the cloud can be a multi-phase evolution. Our strong value add is our multifaceted experience with both on-prem and cloud solutions. We can guide you whether you're at the beginning of your cloud journey or need someone to help finish your final phases. Lastly, before I hand this off to Chris, I'd like to talk about our legacy and transition voice services. Our experience with multiple voice recording vendors has helped us gain knowledge and insight on the best ways to extract or convert voice data during vendor changes. Many customers in industries that we work with need to have access to their legacy voice calls for retention, regulatory, or internal compliance purposes. Wilmac has the skill sets, tools, and software that can assist you in getting access to voice data that is normally locked up. This is an important step that is sometimes missed when navigating to the cloud with a new vendor. Now, to get into more specifics of the technology, I have the pleasure of handing this over to Chris Bauserman.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Steve. And so wonderful work with a partner like Wilmac can really help provide that range of services and expertise as contact centers or call centers begin to modernize the technology platform, moving from those on-premises systems to the cloud, and be able to diversify the interaction channels with their customers, not only adding voice in the cloud, but also digital interactions. And I'll certainly spend some time today talking about the answering the digital wake-up call as it relates to how your customers want to reach you. But before getting into that, I want to take a step back here and talk about one of the overwhelming trends that we've seen this year, certainly accelerated by COVID and our global response to that, which is that really digital transformation, and I kind of say this as a capital D in digital transformation, has really been, I think, one of the pervasive and lasting impressions that this disruptive year of 2020 is leaving on many businesses, like I'm sure yours as well. And by digital transformation, this is some stats here from McKinsey & Company. You know, we're looking at really transforming the overall business model, right? So looking at the whole company, not just your customer experience in your contact center. And really 80% of organizations out there have really said that urgency to transform how they do business is more urgent, and put and 65% have put more dollars behind that. And if we look at what that's meant is that, you know, your organization, like many, probably leapt forward and did things within 8 or 10 weeks earlier this year that you didn't think were possible. Certainly not within that amount of time, let alone this year. And this overall acceleration, digital transformation, has really, you know, having us wake up with kind of a whole new business model in 2021 in a lot of places, and that whole new business model affects how your business operates and touches customers at all points of their journey and their life cycle, and of course has some direct impacts to the contact center and your teams. You know, if you look at sort of again the overall business impact of this, you're seeing that a lot of organizations and of course you in your personal lives have switched from a lot of face-to-face interactions in terms of how and where you buy from a company to more virtual interactions. And that could be, again, think about restaurants and retail and shopping, right? You're using your phone, you're ordering ahead and you're getting curbside delivery versus those face-to-face interactions in the store and the restaurant. If we think about which channels or which methods that you're interacting with your customers or that you're interacting with your friends and family, right? A lot of shift this year, acceleration has happened from just voice calls to short messages and kind of the interactive digital messaging, whether it be social, SMS, web chat, other areas, And you can think about it, how, this is what, not only this is what you've been doing in your personal lives, but as consumers have become more busy, more burdened than ever with juggling Zoom meetings or great webinar content like this while having their kids virtual learning. It's a lot of effort to wait on hold for 20 minutes when you've got busy interaction volume. So those digital interactions also become a great customer effort reduction. You look at the sort of what customers are buying as part of this digital transformation. So businesses offering and shifting more and more to virtual products, digital services versus physical goods. You think of big organizations like Disney, who've been pivoting a lot of their focus, energy, and profits this year from theme parks and cruise lines into digital products and services like Disney Plus and Hulu, and really a meteoric rise in subscribers and growth of those business lines. And then, of course, you look at at how we work and where we work, right? So even as we are now hopefully in the end of the beginning of the end of the pandemic, I think it's pretty universally assured at this point now that we're not going to, whatever mix and blend you had of in-person versus virtual remote workforce, we're not going back to that, right? We're not going to necessarily stay 100% work from home, but I think almost every industry, every business is going to be some sort of combination, probably a dynamic shift between people going into the office, into contact centers, working from home part-time or with bursts and shifts, or maybe you've hired and have a whole new workforce strategy and tapping into a talent pool, then will never go to the office. All these things together really change how your business is interacting with your customers, what those interactions look like going forward, and of course, what that means for your contact center. And I think one other interesting thing as you kind of sum these up is even thinking about the kinds of conversations you have as you have these new front doors to the business being digital, right? Your website, mobile apps, social, and of course your 1-800 number, is behind every one of those doors is the contact center. And so whereas maybe the contact center was doing 80% sort of post-sales support and service and complaint management, maybe 20% kind of helping to close a sale or in fulfillment, maybe a third of those interactions are now in that. So great challenges and opportunities ahead that I think are here to stay and only going to be accelerating next year. But there's also a whole lot of benefits that are directly related to contact center leaders and contact center operators in terms of shifting to digital and shifting to a digital mindset within how you structure your service and promote your service options to customers. And again, it's not a black and white kind of thing. When you think about maybe you're 90% voice, 10% chat and email, as that needle starts to move to 70-30, 60-40, 50-50, there's some tremendous benefits that can be gained. And so one of the obvious ones that we'll talk about is improving customer experience. And again, this is both in terms of how you can deliver a digital experience as well or better than voice, as well as making sure that you're offering the options and really putting yourself out there in all the places your customers live and work and play. Cost reduction is never a dull topic, and so there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to reduce costs, not just in moving your contact center to the cloud, as Steve mentioned, which there's tremendous benefit of just doing that with your current business, but as you look to redesign and reinvent and transform with a heavier emphasis on digital and self-service, tremendous cost reductions can come into play while keeping that CX high. And as I mentioned, just before this, that not only do you have is the sort of how you communicate with customers changing, but the reason or the sort of kinds of contacts your contact center has with customers are changing. So a lot more opportunity both to help support and service as their customers are initiating a sale or a renewal, but also a lot more opportunity to be able to do effective cross-selling, upselling, and digital and the tools that can make those digital conversations smart, predictive, and really connected can also drive up your effectiveness. So let's kind of dig into each of these a little bit. So in improving CX, one of the big things is that even before the pandemic really shifted and disrupted kind of where we work and where we live and where we play, to the point where digital becomes more convenient, you're always starting to see a pretty big generational shift of how consumers want to reach out to you as a company. And of course, I say consumer, but this also ties into B2B as well. And so you look at Gen Z and millennials, well over 85% of those groups, those generations, right, kind of the biggest consumers in the market, are preferring to reach out to you via digital versus voice. Gen X, like myself, we're kind of a coin toss, right? And I kind of feel that too. There's a lot of times I want to have an asynchronous chat, but if I really want to jump in and dig into a hard problem, I might want to pick up the phone. And the sort of boomers and silent generation are still mostly voice, but even then, that's a preference. But there's a lot of things we can do in terms of following up a voice call with an SMS or giving a proactive notification over digital that can really connect with that audience as well. And so, of course, why this is so important is you think about just the overall adoption of use in daily life, right? If you look at the monthly active users of applications like WhatsApp, right? 1.6 billion, Facebook Messenger, 1.3 billion, WeChat, 1.1 billion, even Telegram, which many of you probably have never heard of, right? 200 million. So these, and of course, 2 trillion messages in terms of text messages in the US alone. So tapping into these conversations and really being where your customers live is really essential to provide the convenience and the connectedness they're looking for. When it comes to reducing cost, they're again shifting, and again not a black and white thing, but shifting more to that from like 90-10 to that 60-40 of voice to digital can oftentimes kind of have some material savings in terms of telephony costs. The cost to serve, just in terms of labor cost and efficiency gained, can provide a 30% reduction in sort of your kind of average cost to handle interaction. And of course, that can also lead to higher utilization rates and quicker turnaround in service by having agents do concurrent interactions. If you think about it from a digital perspective, right, especially those asynchronous digital communications where you can stop and start at your convenience, either as an agent or as a customer, right? I'm texting, I'm chatting, I'm doing something on a messaging app like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. Maybe if I text something, I'm in a meeting, maybe you're in this webinar right now trying to get service, right? You can text something while I'm transitioning slides, and then and then wait for that agent to get back to you. That kind of convenience is great for customers, but it's also great for agents, which lets them handle 3 or 4 customers on average at a time, as opposed to the one-to-one in a voice call. So another big benefit is, that really kind of is almost a combination of these 2 things, right? Is the improvement of cross-sell, upsell efficiency. So by being where customers are and providing them those choices, those more, you have opportunity to have more interactions with them. So whenever people talk about shifting to digital or emphasis in digital channels versus voice call only, typically what you don't see is a one-to-one switch from a phone call to a digital interaction, right? You typically see that your voice calls are maybe more flat to maybe a slight decline, but your digital interactions go up, right? So what that means is a lot more opportunity to connect with customers, connect with them in ways that they love and really appreciate from you as a provider, as a company they do business with, and you're able to do more because it can be more convenient for them and more cost effective for you. So you're getting a lot more touch points, which are going to help drive that loyalty and that lifetime value up. And of course, keeping customers is depending on what industry you're in, your assumptions, right? But it's anywhere from 5 to 25 times cheaper just to retain that customer versus acquire new ones. And of course, in uncertain economic times, I'm sure many of you have customer retention as one of your very top goals to really keep your cash flow going. And of course, by being smart and effective in both a smart inbound digital with personalization and proactive outbound digital interactions, you can get a significant increase in agent productivity as you're being able to to really drive those cross-sell opportunities and drive much more of them again in that higher volume. So one of the things is that there's a little bit of a chicken and egg challenge that a lot of organizations probably like yours have faced when it comes to really making that pivot from sort of voice only with a little digital on the side to a truly blended voice and digital omni-channel experience. And oftentimes it comes like this: is, hey, hey, Chris, I don't know which channels my customers would use. I don't know how much they'd use it. I don't know how to staff for a whole dedicated team for something like WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter. I don't know what kind of volume I'm going to get from a service side or SMS. So I don't offer it, or I do a little pilot and I don't promote it and I don't get the service, or if I get it, it sort of causes me a lot of operational issues, so I don't really want to promote it. And then of course you don't get a lot of traction, and you don't get that success that we talked about. So one of the things that we've done at NICE inContact is we've really unlock a virtuous feedback loop, so the opposite of that sort of negative spiral, and really make it easy for you to to really provide that broad digital experience to your customers by, first off, letting your agents have the ability to really provide service on voice and digital, so kind of be multi-skilled omni-channel agents across multiple different interaction types, all through one single interface, and let them have control of that workflow, so that then you've got that cushion in, right? You might not be sure how many text messages versus chats versus emails versus phone calls you come in, and you can even do it on different digital types versus voice. But now you've got that cushion of that multi-skilled agent being able to handle them all in a consolidated experience. But that consolidated experience doesn't mean sort of lowest common denominator, right? So it also gives them the ability to send rich media like GIFs and images and emojis, right? And likes in Facebook, right? So being able to do those things that really connect, and if you haven't done this yet, right, when you're servicing customers on their digital platform, you're providing an experience that's native, like their friends would, right? That really creates a strong bond with customers, and of course, that lets your agents be able to handle whatever dynamic flow of interactions are coming in from those different channels. But of course, when you go from that 90-10 voice to more of a balanced mix, a lot of your operational metrics like scheduling, forecasting interactions, right, becomes a little bit, vastly different, right? Because all of a sudden, an email might be considered deferrable work, right? You can kind of get to it within a 24-hour or 48-hour period, but a chat or text message isn't quite like that. But it's not the same thing as letting someone the phone ring, right? So by having your scheduling and forecasting adjust not just to digital versus voice, but the nuance of different digital channels, your KPIs, right, to be able to report and do analytics on things, and an average handle time and first contact resolution look very different when you're elevating between an SMS to a voice call and back to a web chat. So you want to have all those tools in place to be able to drive that efficiency and that consistency in your experience. And of course, you also want to be able to make sure that from an operational perspective, you can kind of flip on and off those digital channels, easily, so that both from experimentation adoption perspective to customers, it's fast and easy, and that you're not having to invest in a lot of additional technology integration. And by kind of putting these three things together, we then create that virtuous circle where we get really a high adoption rate, a high choice of digital channels, and a high adoption rate for customers to deliver that true digital first omnichannel experience, all from a modern cloud platform. And that platform for NICE inContact is CX1, which is one platform that not only combines that complete experience of all digital and voice conversations with a true combination or elevation across them for customers in one platform, and kind of the keystone here of our omnichannel routing. We also embed deep customer analytics, everything from voice to the customer, feedback management, NPS analytics, to doing speech and text transcription and analytics for interaction analytics, auto discovering patterns and behaviors and trends that you didn't even know about, that could be into doing root cause issue detection. Of course, we also pair that with the leading workforce engagement suite in the market, so being able to do that forecasting, scheduling, quality management, recording, of course, as Steve mentioned, right, voice and screen for both voice and digital channels, driving it together with performance management gamification, all driven by AI end-to-end, from self-service to agent assist and evaluations to post-contact or post-call interaction work automation, after call work automation, all in this open platform that has APIs and pre-built partner integrations that really help you integrate with whatever CRM, telephony, or other applications like marketing, knowledge management that really drive your business. This together is what we call our CX1 platform, and leading cloud contact center platform in the market. And and of course, as you look at from the digital perspective, one of the things that really does help us stand out is that future-proof platform is having that really broad selection of digital channels. Because again, if you're offering digital, the digital channels, right, it's really all about making sure that you're able to communicate with customers where they are. And so if you're missing, if you offer 3 or 4 channels, you're missing out a huge portion of your customers. Now, it's like most transformations, right? And Wilmac is fantastic at having the experience, the expertise, the methodology to support you in this. You really want to think about where you are today, where you want to be as your next step, and where you want to ultimately be. And we think with this, the modernization and shift from voice only to a digital first omnichannel experience, you've got a lot of options that you can work with Wilmac and with NICE inContact CX1 on where you want to start. So you could be a business who is, or perhaps have a project within your business that is really only intended to be digital, right? A growing number of different support options or touch points or fulfillment centers, right? Really might want to drive the conversations only on digital and not even set up voice. And that's something we can fully support, right? And you can start with digital, get the benefits of digital service through every aspect of our platform, like I mentioned, not only offering the experience to customers and agents, but also being able to elevate or combine between channels, right? Moving from an SMS to a chat with a co-browse and wrapping up with an email, but also doing all the workforce engagement, the planning, the scheduling, the quality, and the analytics on that, right? So a pure and complete digital-only solution that we could do to consolidate all the channels as well as all of those applications to manage your team. Most organizations, will want to at some point have a digital first or a digital biased maybe combination, right? We're getting to that 50-50 or better mix on digital versus voice, and having all those things together in one platform for your teams. And in that case, you could start at a couple different places, right? Here in the middle, you could start with digital first. So maybe today you want to deploy CX1 and move and really add the digital experience and then add digital teams for customer service and customer interaction, and get that complete suite of applications aside from a legacy ACD. So maybe you've got a Cisco or a Avaya or Genesys system that you're just, you've got a year or 2 left on the maintenance. You're not ready to move that yet, but you really want to get started delivering these digital experiences. You could deploy CX1 today with a full digital experience, and then tomorrow, next year, the year after, when you're ready to consolidate and retire that voice ACD, you could really flip on the voice as really an additional channel within CX1 and take advantage of all of the work you set up on the digital experience and make that get that consolidated digital first omnichannel. Or you could do what a number of organizations have done already, which is saying, hey, as I'm moving from my legacy on-premises contact center technology, my ICD there, I want to go and first convert from my call center into the cloud, and then as I'm doing that, I want to add some digital channels and continue to add more and more digital channels, right? So kind of do it in one step or incrementally, take the first bite. And again, also another option to get to that true blended digital and voice omnichannel experience. So a couple of customer examples here. I think that one of the customers that I think really it's such an easy to understand story of why digital is so important and why it's so important to have it as a consolidated part of your overall platform and customer experience strategy is Vera Bradley, who's a maker of accessories and handbags and well-known brand, have a lot of web, catalog, storefront presences. And so as you might imagine, right, they've got an 800 number that's all over the place. So they had been, more of a traditional call center, and they decided they were using NICE inContact CX1, and they wanted to flip on the inbound SMS as a service channel and use the same 800 number that they advertised for people to call their phone lines. And they did like any wise organization would do. They said, let's do a pilot. Let's do a little test run over the weekend before we officially launch this. And when they turned on the service over the weekend, 7% of their interaction volume was inbound text messages. Now, they didn't advertise this was a service option. They didn't tell anyone to do it. This wasn't test data. What it had is, right, you've got millennials, Gen Z, and probably even a number of us in Gen X and above looking and seeing a 1-800 number and saying, I know what to do when I see a phone number, I text it. So they're basically letting the digital phone ring off the hook until they were able to flip that service channel on. Now, once they did that, of course, they saw a great reduction in productivity, but they also really were able to get very good at connecting in brand with those customers and really driving CSAT and loyalty up as well. Another great example of a more comprehensive consolidation of digital channels and experiences and the voice into one is Sony. So really going through and having a lot of different teams, and of course, as a large enterprise customer, a lot of different teams handling channel by channel, right? So this meant that they didn't have the ability to tie together a journey where a customer could start in one channel, move to another without starting over. They also didn't have a full view of the customer. So what we did with them is we worked together with Sony, with CX1, and as a Salesforce integration as well, and really built that single consolidated journey where CX1 can be the routing brains and offer all those digital channels, be able to provide those in a consolidated routing and elevation combination experience across digital and voice, tie together with the customer contacts and information in Salesforce, and be able to provide that consistent journey for customers, the one view of the truth and controlled journey for the contact center and supervisors, and reduced a lot of costs, a lot of headache, and a lot of integration activities on the data, on the systems, and of course the agent experience. And you can see here a number of pretty impressive operational improvements from that. So that's just kind of a brief overview of sort of some of the benefits and possibilities in both modernizing your contact center to the cloud and really, as you're doing it today or as a next step, shifting the emphasis not just from moving the call center into the cloud, but also shifting to more of a digital and voice omnichannel experience. Steve gave a great overview of who Wilmac is at the beginning. I've kind of hinted a bit of some of the things that NICE inContact can do and we can do with our CX1 platform. But for those of you who might not know us, we are proud to be the cloud contact center leader. We, and as part of NICE overall, have served over 85 of the Fortune 100 customers, and with hundreds of thousands of agents worldwide. We're actually now they just crossed over 500,000 agents. So I'll need to update the slide next time the record keeps going up. We deliver guaranteed 4 nines of uptime, and this includes no funny business in terms of things that aren't our fault from a third-party provider or maintenance windows that can hide and bury hours of downtime per week or per month in there. It's true 4 nines guaranteed uptime, no downtime for maintenance, upgrades, etc. And of course, being experienced to serve the needs of not only small businesses, like Steve mentioned about Wilmac does as well, but also large multinationals over 100 plus countries, including many internationals who can run CX1 on a single instance across 50 or more different countries each, right? So getting that benefit of that consolidated management reporting, but keeping voice quality and operations local at all corners of the world. You can see here on the right-hand side, we're proud to have been recognized as a leader from the Forrester Wave that was just done recently, really doing a deep dive evaluation across all the contact center providers in the space, and a really detailed checklist. And you can see here too, as in addition to our position here, very strong in the upper right corner of the wave, also getting cited for having the broadest channel support and the strongest WFO overall in the evaluation. So hopefully, if you weren't already before coming here, you can see the power of not just modernizing your call center, but also taking the opportunity to really begin that transformation, that digital transformation for your business and support the business, to add digital interaction channels with the voice and be able to give better customer experiences, lower costs, and improve customer lifetime value. So now where do you start? I think one of the things is, if you haven't done so already, right, drive that digital vision for your contact center. Create those use cases for that vision, and have those use cases really be able to make sure you tie into an existing digital transformation initiative if your organization, your company has one, and start taking action. Right, great time to start thinking about New Year's resolutions. So start taking those small steps now for progress here in the first quarter. One thing that we might recommend is working with Wilmac. We can help you provide a personalized assessment about what shifting to that more modern digital first experience can do for you. With an online assessment tool, we can work through, just answer 8 questions about your operations and give you personalized recommendations on potential benefit, including where to start and what those savings or increased CX or cross-sell upsell opportunities might be to your business. So helping get a handy ROI or project prioritization initiative to start off the gate. And with that, I think we've got we've covered what I hope is a great thought-provoking starter, or at least conversation starter for many of you who are looking about where do I start, what are the benefits, and how do I make some plans and commitments for making this journey in 2021. And with that, I'd love for hear any questions you might have for Steve or I.
Great, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate that. Again, a high-level presentation into your digital transformation. We hope to get the chance to speak to you guys further. So we appreciate you guys joining us today. We did have a few questions that we want to address that we'll try to get through quickly here. The first one is Wilmac certified to support inContact CX1? I can handle that question. Yes, Wilmac is an inContact CX1 reseller, but we are also a certified implementation partner for inContact CX1 solutions. We are staffed to implement, deploy, and support your inContact solutions, and really do believe that our organization is a great place to go to when you're looking to implement, and we provide our customers with the flexible approach in going to the cloud. Another question came in: is it really possible to solve complex customer issues over text? Chris, I think I will let you handle that one.
That's a great question, and I think that's I think one of the things that is easy to overlook when you start thinking about shifting to digital first or that sort of digital centric view of customer service is thinking that hey, if I'm in a channel like text, right, or Twitter, right, I've only got so many characters. How can I solve these complex things? How can I really have a back and forth that gets the root of things? The answer is that, one, you can actually solve a heck of a lot more than you might think, especially when you provide agents with the full context and history of the customer, knowing what they've bought, what they've ordered in the past, what the service requests they've had in the past, what might be pending on their account. So by really providing a lot of that context and next best action to the agent, you can have a pretty efficient conversation, and often you can solve a lot of things over text, but a lot of things you can't. And one of the really important things about is that I mentioned about digital first omni-channel, and the omni-channel is something that as a marketer I'm partially guilty of, for my profession, right, is sort of blurring that word, what that really means. But I think that the best way to think about omni-channel is that it's really about having a customer be able to move between channels to get the job done without having to start over, right? And so if I start off on text, reaching for service or asking a question or trying to check on the status of something, and it gets complicated, omni-channel means you don't stay in that text channel, right? It means that we with CX1 can say, okay, how about if you want to move this to a web chat or a chat in your mobile app, right? And then maybe that doesn't even, and then maybe if you're on the website, we add a co-browse session, right? So I can see where you are and what you're looking at and can guide you. And it could be that, hey, that even then it's better to say, let's talk it over, right? So all of a sudden now, we add the voice call, right? So now I'm on voice and we're doing a web co-browse. And now we can solve some really complicated questions that way very fast without having that customer have to start over, without switching agents, without having to, break down having called back and not having first contact resolution. So, and of course, then you may send a confirmation back over text, right? So it's that true blending, whether you're adding, combining, or elevating between those channels without the customer stopping over, that really unlocks the power of it, right? So now you get a situation there where text was easiest for the customer to reach you. It was really convenient for them, and you solved your issue the first time, but maybe you had to add some channels to it. So again, probably may have been a longer answer than they initially were asking for, but the answer is yes, and you don't have to stay in the text channel to get that resolution.
All right, thank you, sir. The third question that came in is, we are interested in a cloud strategy for our contact center, but we don't know how or where to start the process. What is your recommendation? Well, that's why we're here. We definitely love to assist customers, whether they're at the beginning, middle, or end of their cloud journey. As Chris alluded to a little earlier, Wilmac offers a free assessment via our subject matter experts to give you direction regardless of where you are on your journey, even if you're just starting. So we'd say please reach out to us, and we'd assign a resource or sales representative to start working with you directly. So appreciate that question, a great question that we hear a lot of. The fourth question is, how does the system work with my existing Cisco solution? Chris, so I'll let you, how does inContact work with their existing Cisco solutions?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a few different ways that we can really work with and make it easy to move from or upgrade any legacy on-premises system like a Cisco, Avaya, et cetera. And there's a few key things I'll mention. And so one is when it comes to the ACD part, right? So the ACD of your current voice ACD, your call center, we could do a couple things. One, we can migrate it, right? We've got expertise with partners like Wilmac to help make that migration successful, and we also have automated tools for popular voice ACDs or existing legacy ACDs like Cisco, Avaya, Genesys to be able to automate some of the movement of reports, scripting and contact flows, but also great training guides for your team. So you say, hey, Cisco calls it a queue or the configuration, right? We call the skill in CX1. So this report you used to find in this folder in Cisco. This is where you find it in CX1. So really helps to make that change management from both the program management to the technical implementation and turn up to the training and education really smooth. The second piece is that, as I mentioned, on this where there's multiple paths to be able to move, to digital. You may say, hey, I want to keep my Cisco voice for a while. I've got a little bit of value left on the maintenance contract and the gear, and I'm not ready to amortize it out just yet. Then we could say, hey, well, let's maybe start with the digital or add some of the applications, with Cisco. Get you up and running on that, and then add the voice later, or maybe one business unit, one team, one site. Do that until the rest of them up for renewal. And then lastly, it could be an important thing to mention about Cisco or by others is that we are PBX agnostic. So so in a lot of cases like Cisco in particular, your ACD is directly tied to some of the switches and the voice PBX that you've got, and so they're all intertwined. We can work with any of those systems from a voice perspective and from a phone perspective from the agent lag without having to replace those. So that's another really a great way that you can help keep value, stage those deployments out. And of course, we also make it make it really easy and fast to get up and running, whichever option you choose.
Great, thanks, Chris. And we have our last couple questions here. Someone raised a question regarding the source of our statistics at the beginning of the presentations. They are listed at the bottom of slides 8 to 11. It might have been cut off a little depending on the format of the power or the presentation that you had up, but we will be sending out the slide deck to everyone, so feel free to check those sources out. Again, slides 8 to 11. And with our last question of the day, with an older, in parentheses, boomer workforce, do you find that the acceptance and learning curve to adopt the new unknown technology for customer interaction is fairly quick and easy? So Chris, I'll let you answer this quickly after I would say I have seen the acceptance curve be adopted a lot quicker and easier than most people would imagine. The technology is pretty user-friendly, and it can obviously seem a little daunting at the very beginning, but we have seen this adoption very quickly and easily. But I'll let Chris kind of dive into any specifics of that. So Chris, do you want to end it with that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question, and that, and I think it all comes down to as Steve said, right? One, making it easy. Two, making it a choice, right? I think where you really run into acceptance issues is when you basically hide the phone number, or you say, I'm only going to do this, right? Or this is the way to do it, and I can't find how I want to get it. So I think that's the two big things I'd say is, technology acceptance, regardless of your age, right? It's about making it as intuitive as possible, which I think we've done, we've done in CX1. Second is offering a choice, right? And not forcing people to do things when they're not ready for. But third is, right, show that blend and balance, right? So maybe it's a matter of if you want to start steering, like I said, you're 90-10 voice to digital, and you want to start steering the targets, right? If your entire demographic is retirees, maybe you're not going to get to 50-50, in the next year. But but instead of but you give that voice as an option, and maybe again you send a follow-up, you offer, hey, can I send you the follow-up confirmation via text? And then you get them to kind of get them used to receiving it, and maybe they respond in text to a reminder, right? So kind of building that, giving them a choice, but also kind of building it in a way that's convenient for them versus forcing them, I think is the way that I've seen the greatest acceptance of that learning curve.
Great, thanks, Chris. Hope that answered the question. We do have a few more questions here, but the answers are a little bit more in depth than today's session is meant for, so we will be following up with those folks directly. We'll also be in touch shortly with the winner of today's $100 Amazon gift card raffle. We hope everyone found today's session of value, and please know that Wilmac is available to consult with you at your convenience to help you through this transition. Thanks again for joining today. We really appreciate it. Hope it was time well spent. Stay well and have a great holiday season.